Welcome to GothCast, the video. GothCast
Video edition.
GothCast video edition.
Now with video.
Now on tape. Buy it at your local record store. If you're not watching the video, then it's also the audio.
It might be confusing.
Might be confusing, but it's on video now.
But still in audio.
Yes, we're deciding to try and start filming this. We're doing new episodes of GothCast in 2024. This episode is kind of our tester to see how video works with this format. Again, it's going to be the same kind of stuff that you've been getting for years, where it's a retrospective on a band, talking about the albums, talking about the music videos, talking about all the weird trivia and stuff. But this time we have
Video.
So the new medium of
For the new century.
yes, the 21st century. Yes. So I hope you enjoy this new format where you know some. I'm gonna say that you may find one section a little noticeable in that, because we filmed us talking about the music already, right? And then we're doing this intro.
Time traveling.
So you may notice that our light dies in the middle of one of the segments. So then it becomes this lighting.
Well, unless you're listening to it,
Unless you listen to it, then it's exactly
you
the same.
won't notice.
But I'm trying to see how this whole setup works, this stuff. But if you're watching the video, you may notice on the first record that it's a little different. It's going to be a slight difference.
You probably won't even notice.
Yeah.
Only because you said something about it.
Yeah. So be aware of that. I'm trying to bring this content to you. I'm trying to bring it back for you guys. There's been many requests to talk about many bands. I'm trying to get this stuff for you guys. I know that people enjoy it. I love getting your mail and hearing about how people, like, says some people who even say, like, oh, I fall asleep to it every night. They think, will you please make more? I'm like thinking, okay, you want to fall asleep to it? Okay, but okay, I understand.
It's because of your soothing voice.
Is that it? Okay, well,
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah. So joining me on today's episode is gonna be Noah, bassist for the band Dr.Sanders. You can find us on Spotify. All kinds of good songs on there.
All kinds of good songs.
And so we're gonna be taking a look at Lords of the New Church with it's basically a supergroup that, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in that band. So I hope that you enjoy this and that you have your own spooky time, spooky party. Yes. Yeah, we're recording this in February. So let's get into it. Let's cut to whenever I film the other part. Now.
Yeah,
right now?
We're cutting.
We're cutting.
We're cutting.
Cutting right now?
This part.
It's video. So
Yeah.
now I can.
We can't cut.
Now I can.
We have to get in the position.
Yes. Let's get on to the music. And let's
New Church.
yes, Lords of New Church. So this is one of those bands that I feel like if you're searching just 80s goth music, right? You go to google.com and you're searching 80s goth bands. Lords of the New Church will usually be in there somewhere. But the band itself, I would say, only has they have a variety of sounds is the way I'll put it. Yes, some of it is if you listen to just like the hits, right?
Yeah.
Open Your Eyes, Dance With Me, like that kind of stuff, you're going to really hear that sort of sound. But outside of that, it's a little more classic, straightforward rock and roll.
It's kind of glam.
Definitely glam. I mean, you're going to hear that word a lot in my notes. Just in case you didn't know, because it's never been visual, I do take notes on all the albums and songs. So I do have some accompaniment when I do this, but we're going to see how it goes with this. But let's talk a little bit about the history of the band. Now, if there's anything you know about Lords of the New Church, other than the song Open Your Eyes, is going to be that it is essentially a supergroup. And the two people who, at least in my mind, are the people are Stiv Bators, Stiv Bators, and Brian James. And that's the singer of the Dead Boys and the guitarist, the original guitarist of the Damned. And, I'll talk more about Damned in a second. But for the Dead Boys, again, kind of like pioneering punk rock type of thing. Again, they had sort of like a kind of 60s pop sensibility in a lot of songs, and you do see some of that here. Here's a little bit of history on the Dead Boys, though. Got it right here. They were active from 1975 to 1980. Now, there was some reunions shows in there over the even with Stiv in the 80s.
Yeah.
They're from Cleveland, Ohio.
Is that
not really
surprising?
Not really what you would think. Well, I mean, for that time, because you'd always think of like 70s punk as more like UK type of stuff. But Cleveland, Ohio, they did 2 studio albums, Young, Loud, and Snotty, and We Have Come for Your Children.
Those are both great names.
Though they're great. They're actually pretty good albums. If you like, the one thing you'll also hear me talk about in this is Stiv Bators does have a very unique way in which he sings and he talks.
Yeah, for sure.
And some people aren't going to really click with it, especially for goth music. Most people are used to either like, there's a couple like go-to sounds, right? You got like Andrew Eldridge from Sister Mercy, which is like, in that dying time. You got Robertson from The Cure, who's like, oh, I have emotion. And and you got like, I don't know, like Peter Murphy or something like that, who's like, Bella Lago say, you know, that kind of like biting, kind of spin off of punk, post-punk type of thing. And Stiv Bators kind of doesn't fit into really any of those. If anything, it's closer to the Bauhaus type of post-punk sound, but
it's in that area at least.
Yeah, I would say that it's adjacent, but some people may not jive. Is that a word people use?
That's a word.
With the vocals at first, but it does grow on you, in case you're not used to it. Brian James from The Damned, formed in 1975, going till now. One of the best bands of all time. Absolutely amazing. They're from London. I am a huge fan of The Damned. I love The Damned. They're absolutely awesome. But it's funny because the first 2 records of Damned, I think they're pretty good, but I think the stuff that came after was better. Like Machine Gun Etiquette and all that stuff. I actually like it better when Captain Sensible was the guitarist in The Damned. A lot of people will really disagree because I want the line for the first 2 albums, you know?
The OG.
Yeah, and they're always trying to get people to reunite. Like, oh, they need to play, the old guys need to reunite. And I'm like, then they can't play like 99% of their music because they have so many albums. But I do really, I like the albums he did, Damn, 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 and Music for Pleasure. But he left in 1977. And I'm going to bring up The Damned later because I think it's a hilarious comparison because The Damned started making goth music later.
Yeah.
And I really like those albums. And so it's kind of funny to see that Brian James went on to do some other stuff and then they did it.
He left to go do goth stuff and they
did goth stuff. Yeah. Now, the other members of the band are going to be Dave Trigun from Sham 69 and Nick Turner from the Barracudas. And now Stiv and Brian met when the Dead Boys actually supported The Damned at CBGB's in New York. And I think there was also like in England, they came over to England and then like Dead Boys supported them as well. But I think there was like also something where Stiv came over and was trying to join a band with Sham 69 that just like became Lord's of the New Church. But anyway, they were getting going and they kind of combined a lot of those classic glam rock and punk and almost like a little bit of rockabilly too.
Yeah.
Into their sound and produced 1982's Lords of the New Church, which, as I've said many a time, I hate it when people name their debut album after the band.
Yeah.
Because of all the words in the world, you can't think of a single one or phrase.
Well, here's the thing, you already thought of a cool name.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the band. Yeah, Lords of the New Church.
So, like for any band, right? You spend months thinking of a cool name. Then you have a cool name, so you want to use the cool name. You don't want to waste time thinking of another cool name.
Yeah, I guess it's... Yeah, well, hey, I guess...
How do you feel about self-titled albums in general?
I'm not a fan of them, especially if it's like... and you always see this in interviews. You always see this. It's like if it'll be a band's like 10th album, right? Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, Well, The Cure is a good example, right?
Yes.
The Cure, the from 2004. My opinion, not necessarily their best album, right? But in interviews, they say this is the
we figured out how to make the Cure album.
Yeah,
this is our album.
Yes, that's exact, and I hate that because it's like people do it all the time. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. Well, Blink-182 did that as well.
Yes.
A couple albums in, and that was funny because it like was a completely different sound for them. So
they're reinventing themselves, and now this is what Blink.
Yeah, this is it. So I just never. It's always hard when, especially if that album isn't necessarily the most famous, or they already had like super huge albums, because then you try to search Blink-182 album.
You do Blink-182, Blink-182.
Yeah, well, especially with The Cure now, it's like The Cure album. It's like it's just gonna come up with all the discography. And you're like, no, I'm trying to find the 2004
album called The Cure.
Yeah. So anyway, this one's Lords of the New Church.
So anyway, Dr. Sanders' new EP coming out soon. Dr. Sanders.
Well, I was trying to. There's a lead in to say I think we've finally done it right. It defines the sound. Okay, all right. So, oh yeah, this is super weird. So, I'll talk about the album art. I always like to talk about it because it's weird. So this one, it has like a weird post-apocalyptic drawing. It looks like Mad Max they're eating like an armadillo there. It's like a pineapple and an armadillo on this table. And it's like a drawing. It's like a painting. Looks like kind of like a almost B-movie VHSs that would say like,
yeah,
Mad Max again, but it doesn't have Mel Gibson in it at all.
Mad Mix again.
Yes, exactly. But the Lords of the New Church logo, it always has this like knife in it. It's like a knife thing. That's a logo. It's like a dagger type thing. And for some reason, when it came over in America, it's same music on the album, but it's black and just has like their logo and the dagger. So this cool, colorful thing that's kind of at least would make it stand out on a shelf is just pure black. Yeah. So it's super weird. Oh yeah. So and on the back of it said, "Truth is the sword of us all." That was printed on the back of the American one. I don't know. But yeah, the European version is the one that, like, I guess if you're looking this up on Spotify or anywhere else, you're gonna see it. And to add to that, if you want to listen to these albums, except for this one, you might have a hard time. Outside of some unofficial YouTube uploads in poor quality, most of these are not available to stream legally, at least in America that I've seen. I don't have like a VPN to switch over to a different area, but on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, all of them, it's just the first album.
Well, Spotify is the first album and the remaster of the first album.
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, I saw that. Yeah, so you only got the two. It's the same music, and then all the other ones are talking about. So 3 other records, and then there's a ton of live records. There's so many live records. I'm not talking about those today. Maybe I'll do that in a follow up because there was just there's so much to comb through, and they were actually released during the wave when Stiv was still alive, which I'm jumping ahead here, but. Synthesizer, we have Matt Irving, which you do hear some on this. And as far as I know, most of these guys weren't like official members. You see like the synths and stuff changing between each record. But I know that when they played live, there was
a guy.
Yeah. So anyway, you might also remember, if you've been into goth music for a really long time, when the In Goth Days, DAZE, DVDs came out, there was like a live performances from Lords of the New Church on there. I think that's actually how I discovered the band, was that DVD. But so I throw that out there because it was like, yep, I remember that one.
That one's old school.
Yeah. Well, let's just go over some of the songs here. This was recorded at Farmyard Studios in Little Chalfont. That's how you say that, Chalfont. I had to write it out. In England. First song, one of their most popular songs, New Church. What do you think?
They really had a thing for those 2 words.
Yeah, New in Church. Yeah.
And the lyrics also include the name of the band and the album.
Many times. Yes, many times. New Church. Da-da-da. Yeah, it's got a kind of cool. I definitely immediately feel the glam rock-ness in it.
For sure.
You know, that's one of those things where the more we talk about this, we're going to say like, well, how much of their sound was related to goth? But you could say that Bauhaus went very glam kind of influence. But man, sometimes if you had this more like style, like a David Bowie thing on stage,
You wouldn't notice, yeah.
Yeah. And they did talk about it. As actually a Stiv documentary that came out. And they did talk a little bit about Lord's New Church's image, where they were like, well, some of the guys weren't as comfortable or cool with it. And they were trying to jump onto the trend of UK goth rock and whatever. I don't know. It's cool. I mean, but as we get on, we'll see that this album almost might be the most like standard goth thing. But I do like this song. This became one of their like big ones to play live. You have this chugging bass, and although the guitar is really bright sounding, like it's really forward in the mix, and it's kind of sloppy.
Yeah.
And I know Brian James punk rock, stuff, but it's noticeable in some parts where, man, it's a little, it's
punk rock, baby.
It is, yeah. But then when they also play live, I kind of noticed he sort of also was a little sloppy.
That's the trick. See, he's not sloppy live. He's playing it to the He's playing it studio accurate.
It's getting the emotion. It's evocative.
Well, the trick is if you play it sloppier on the record, then when you play it sloppy live, you're not messing up.
Yeah,
you're just playing it like the record.
Yeah. Oh, you're telling me.
Giving away the insider Dr. Sanders.
Well, that's very super true. I guess I can't criticize. Then we got Russian Roulette, sleazy. Reminds me again like a lot of glam, has kind of like a swagger to it, which a lot of these kind of do. This is actually written by Tony James, who was in Sisters of Mercy, which is crazy. I guess he complained about like they didn't give him credit or something. But Tony James, he was actually on Vision Thing by Sisters of Mercy, and Terry Chimes at The Clash. Okay, and that guy was I think he was in Black Sabbath for a little bit too. It's super weird thing. Anyway,
very incestuous.
But here's what Tony James said. He said, "I actually wrote what is considered to be one of their best songs. If you take a look at the song credit on label, you'll see it's credited James Chimes, although I wrote it all. For Guardians of the Galaxy 3, director James Gunn, he attempted to use the song, but he was unable due to legal confusion over who owned it." And he posted that on Twitter. He said, I wanted to have a different song in there, and we couldn't do legal things. And it was Lords of the New Church's Russian Roulette for Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
That's cool.
That is cool. I thought that was awesome.
Well, except for the not actually happening.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that would be like for years, like, did you know they were going to use it? And then it's like if he hadn't said, yeah, no, it was this, and confirmed it, and nobody would have been like, yeah, it was going to be Lords of the New Church.
Urban legend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they were going to use Dr. Sanders.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
No, yeah. For Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Yeah. Put glass in.
Yeah, yeah. It was going to be when his father eats the crystal of...
When they get blinded.
Time. Yeah. Oh, hey. Yeah, window shut. Okay, anyway. Questions of Temperature. This is where you start to see some of the death rock stuff that I kind of like. The big bombastic tom drums, and I love that kind of sound. You see a lot of that with Skeletal Family, and I like that kind of stuff, but they end up using it a lot.
Yes, that's sort of the thing.
Yeah, Eat Your Heart Out. Oh yeah,
that's my favorite song.
There's a lot of swearing in this one. A lot of swearing. The main chorus is literally Rich. I'm just gonna say it.
Shut up and sit down.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Rich bitch.
Yeah. Eat your heart out. I was
the vocal performance on that song is insane.
It is insane.
It's amazing.
Yeah, super energetic, super fast, like very much the Dead Boys type of sound. It's cool, but they also have kind of like a honky tonk piano type thing in it. It's super weird. It's super weird, but it's cool. So
they're progressive. It's progressive
fusion. This album, I feel like, we'll see it as it goes on. This one actually has like the biggest variety of that glam to classic rock to goth kind of thing.
Like every song is its own genre.
Yeah, and they're able to link it enough, but enough. It doesn't necessarily feel all like it was written all together. There was an album called by the band The Wanderers. I think they had some of the band members or something in it. There's like a missing link between like Dead Boys and Lords of the New Church. Okay. So I'm not talking about that today, but that's one to kind of take a look at if you want to hear the evolution. Portobello. I was trying to find out if it was about the mushroom. So the way they spell it, apparently the way they spell it, I don't know what it's. I figure I think it's got to be about the city, but the city in Panama, but they spell it with 2 L's,
which is like the mushroom.
Yeah. Anyway, they got a lot of the.
Probably both.
I would think. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I was trying to figure out. I was reading the lyrics. The problem with Doors of the New Church is that it doesn't have as much of a deep dive as some other bands, as explored as much. The Stiv documentary kind of explores his career more than most stuff has. And even then, that glosses over Lords of the New Church in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he did this, and then, but,
he really did.
The Dead Boys was the thing, kind of. But this was a cool one. Seeing a lot of the gang vocals, again, like New Church and all, a lot of gang vocals where they just kind of say,
shout something together.
Yeah, exactly. They have very unusual layering of vocals in this as well. Again, very reminiscent of Death Rock, Skeletal Family type stuff. They got the cool synth sort of thing, and the synth isn't overused in this record at all. In fact, if anything, I would almost want more.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it is cool. But I don't know what this is about. I'm gonna assume it's about mushrooms. So until somebody corrects me. Open Your Eyes. This is the track, obviously.
The ones, yeah.
This is the one. It's probably the most famous song by them, I would think, or Dance With Me. Yeah, synth heavy, shuffling guitar, awesome chorus. The open your eyes, leave your eyes. Like that. They just nail it. Sometimes bands just get it right. And the bass too. I haven't talked about the bass that much outside of it being really grumbly and awesome. But it's such a cool bass line, and he really holds down, the rhythm really holds down this whole record.
Yeah.
Does not get enough credit, but man, this, every time I think oh yeah, maybe it'll be this one, I listen to the song, I'm like, that is such a good song. Which also, why isn't it licensed harder or what? Well, I guess if they're running into licensing issues, I guess that might be the problem, is no one knows who the heck owns it. But this song is super cool. Oh, also, this is one of the 2 that has a music video. So,
yeah,
just a basic music video of them playing live, essentially. Stiv has kind of almost like a bowl haircut type thing. Because the image of him later is usually the longer hair.
Yeah.
But he has kind of like a dome hair type thing with the glasses. Almost reminds me of Roy Orbison or something with the glasses. And it's a cool music video. It's pretty basic, but it's cool that they had him. And then
it's cool to do something.
Yeah. And then Russian Roulette also had a music video, but it's I think it just has B-roll footage and the band playing live, but it looks really weird. I think the Open Your Eyes was a lot more classic looking.
Music video.
Yeah. What do you think of Open Your Eyes?
I think you could open them.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. I think that's what it's trying to tell us.
Whoa.
Instead of closing them.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh.
Wow. Wow.
I think it's interesting that if you found the band from that song, you heard the single or something, you listen to the rest of the album.
Yeah, I know.
You would not get the experience you thought you were.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is I don't understand. It's like they wrote an album and they're like, oh, well, we're gonna do this sound, and there's a couple.
It's like they just sort of jammed out a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
But didn't really have any idea of what they wanted to sound like. They're just here's a weird riff we wrote.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Yeah, absolutely. Living on Living. Oh yeah, this almost okay. And maybe it's because of the title. I swear that part of this sounds like Living in the Free World. The guitar, the beginning intro guitar, and even the tone and everything. I swear that it sounds like
maybe they ripped it off.
Or is it Rockin' in the Free World?
Yeah.
Keep on rocking in the free world. I swear when I listen to it, I was like, man, that totally sounds like it. And I know it switches up and becomes something different. Well. But in that moment, I'm like, that totally sounds like that song.
It's about to go into that song.
Yeah. Again, sleazy, super classic rock type of sound. This one, even more far removed from the glam thing. But I mean, it's pretty good.
And a lot of these, it's like the guitar tone that makes it sound gothy at all.
Yeah.
If you just had a normal rock tone,
Yeah, it'd just
you'd think
be.
it's a rock.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Little boys play with dolls. It's basically a surf song.
Yeah.
And little boys play with dolls. The way he says it, crack me up. But this, there was a thing in the documentary where they talk about like maybe that lyric was stolen.
Yeah.
Like there's like they say Stiv actually stole a lot of lyrics, and I was kind of like, oh, I didn't know that.
They do have like, the lyrics kind of focus on like a couple of phrases.
Oh yeah,
A lot.
yeah. No, that's a big thing. Repetition and yeah. Anyway, that's not bad. I'm just saying. Holy War. Shimmery guitar.
Yeah.
The vocals. It's a great song. I think this is actually, I forget. I think this might be a cover actually too.
Really?
But I actually did like it. It was one of my favorite songs, but I think it was a cover. Which I don't know what that says, but I mean, it's a good song. And I actually kind of dug it. There's a few really tight, awesome songs on this.
Yeah.
I feel like the variety of it is a good and a bad thing, right? Because there's some stuff that I like a lot more than other stuff, but it's not overdone, right?
Yeah.
So when they do the synth stuff, I really like when they add the synth to it and have more layered vocals instead of just the more belting out, like, you know, Stiv doesn't really play in the lines of the groove that well sometimes. He's more kind of really on top of the music. It's not really like blended together very well. On this one, especially, where it almost feels like a live performance in many ways, which isn't bad. I'm not saying that everything needs to be processed and whatever, but oh, my light died.
Welcome to the dark.
Welcome to the darkness.
We've entered phase 2 of the GothCast.
Well, you may have noticed the lighting changed. The one light died.
It was haunted.
Ooh. So stupid. Well, anyway, so as I was trying to say, that I kind of wish it had a little bit more of a cohesive sound. I think it would have helped it.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of all over the place. It's not a bad album by any means. It's not.
But each time it's like shifts. You go to a new song, you're like, whoa, we're here now.
Yeah.
They're all cool. But like
yeah. The through line through it really is, I feel like Stiv's voice.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Really just kind of melds all the songs together, which is cool. I mean, it's cool that they could do all the different stuff, but it's the fact that some of the songs I think are clearly better than others, like as far as from a songwriting perspective. You know, I think that's kind of one of the biggest issues. But I mean, this one, you can listen for yourself at this very moment. So don't at me in 5 years when it's none of it's available anymore on any stream service. But right now,
of the 18th of February.
Yes, you can stream this album on most services, and it's a cool start to the band's career. And it's also a very short kind of lifespan of this band. It's only a couple years. Technically, yes and no. We'll talk more about that as it goes on. But for 1982 debut album, I think it's a pretty good start. So do you think we'll be seeing more of this sound reflected and evolved upon as time goes on?
That's a coherent evolution, you think?
No, we're not going to get that. But let's see what they did next. So now we're on to 1983. This is 1 year later. This is Nothing Sacred. Now, this album has an awesome album art cover. It's like a hallway that's like haunted with a specter, and the band is in it. It's super sick. I love it. It apparently is on every version of the album, which is cool. We're making progress here.
They didn't randomly cut it off.
Yeah, exactly. But the coolest looking album by far. And we'll talk more about the sound and stuff, but it's got some great songs too. This one was recorded at Utopia sound in New York. We have a lot more horns, or we actually have horns on this one. I guess that was the way I put it. Yeah. Altos. Well, okay, I'll just list off. I'm not going to specific saxophones, but one of the horn players is Simon Lloyd. He's new to this record. Rudy Thompson. He is new to this record. Keyboards and synth. You have Matt Black on this record. It's a different guy. Last one.
Yeah.
The Cool Sleeve. Awesome. Designed by Graham Humphreys. And then you have the same cast of characters as far as the
Core
basic
band.
band. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have all like, most of the people are like additional album people. But starting off, so good. Dance with me. I love this song. It's so good.
It's another song where it's like doesn't fit with the rest of the
It is not.
the rest of this, but it's very good.
It's a great song. I mean, I think like
But this could have been done by some random synth pop group,
yeah, like
and you wouldn't notice.
yeah. Well, oh man. Well, I just think that a lot of the stuff that they could have done well was done in this. Right, the horns mix really well with the chorus. With Stiv's vocals have a lot of energy, yet they're still not as garbly. The way I would describe it. My favorite part. Okay, one of any song is there's like a guitar bridge where it goes like later in the song. That like tone that he has in that little. It sucks because only in that one little part of the song, and then when they play live, he didn't even do it really. But I love that. And of course, the synth is now more blended with it than kind of being more like a stand out stab of a note.
Yeah.
But this one's great. It has a music video too, where the band. It's a really artsy video with like kind of people with crazy 80s makeup dancing.
Well, yeah, it's the synth pop song.
Yeah, well, yeah. Very, very 80s. Song is super sick. I can't recommend that one enough. Going on to Bad Timing. That was bad timing. Again, heavy synth. And like this really shows that with the production, I think a record, like they have more time. It seems like they have more time.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Stiv's voice isn't like as much of a noticeably removed from the music is the way I'll put it.
Maybe they just had a better mixer.
That's what I was thinking. Well, apparently the first two were produced by the band.
Okay.
So maybe that's how they thought it should sound. Because I know that that's always the thing where you're like, no, that's how we sound.
My music.
Yeah, we sound this way. This is the perfect. We called it Lord of the New Church because it represents the band. They have and then you start to see also. I won't say Brian James' limitation, but his style of doing solos. So these very kind of shrieking punk, shorter solos where it's like just bending a few notes but then that's the problem is it kind of doesn't. Sometimes I feel like it doesn't work as well as it could if they maybe did a little more melodic stuff, because the songs sometimes are so melodic on this record and going forward that I felt like it would have worked a little better. But who am I say?
You're Dr. Sanders.
Oh, okay. Johnny Too Bad. So we start to get into this almost like a big band sound.
Yeah.
A lot of horns. A lot of horns. Very bluesy. And that's what we're talking about, where they kind of moved away from the glam part of it.
Just kind of rock.
It's mostly just kind of a classic rock sound.
Yeah.
For quite a bit of this. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it is weird how they didn't. I feel like they would have gone more glam. And like I said, Dance With Me is synthy and glammy and stuff, but we're going to see, especially on the next one too, it's going to be Method Madness. But Don't Worry Children, big gutty bass. Big gutty bass.
This Monday.
EA Sports. It's in the bass.
EA bass.
It's in the bass. Bright and happy sounding. Reminds me also. Oh yes, reminds me of a ska or a TV intro.
Yeah.
You know, like
okay.
that would play like
Yeah.
like something that would play late at night where two people open a door and bump into each other.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
it's Uncle Noah.
yeah, exactly. But it's awesome. But oh yeah, it reminds me of like a Ramones song. But it does have. It's very evocative of that happy sounding punk rock thing.
Yeah.
Really, really wouldn't surprise me if it was like, hey, I wrote this for the Ramones or something. Oh yeah, and it has a saxophone solo. So we're getting in. Not only we have guitar, so we got sax. This album is offering an immense amount of solos from instruments.
All sorts of.
There's all kinds of solos.
Every kind you could think of.
Speaking of what the solos are calling me, the night is also calling.
That was smooth.
Yeah, again, I know. I'm saying I'm comparing things to
Other things.
I'm comparing it to other things to kind of give people an idea without having to listen to the whole thing. But this one is more like a Peter Murphy song, like
Like a Bowie song.
like. Oh yes, very much so. Yeah, which is well, I guess Peter Murphy.
Yeah. That's.
Yes. So very much so. Very ballady, and it has this fretless bass, which is so. A lot of goth music in the 80s used fretless bass. I think my favorite use of it is actually in Peter Murphy's solo stuff. Oh man, he's got some amazing songs that
Tune in next week on GothCast.
I know. It's my favorite top 10 Peter Murphy fretless bass solo parts. But yeah, this song is sick. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite on the record. The Night is Calling. I love it. Man, maybe that's a cover. Well, there's some other weird one that's like a ballady. It's a cover, but I can't. The Going Downtown. Oh, this was totally like glam.
Yeah, it's just like
glam metal.
It's just a glam. It's just a hair metal song.
I was like, what? Like out of nowhere, all of a sudden there's like the big 80s hair bands that
like all of a sudden Poison came out into the song.
Yes. I was like, what the heck is this? It is literally like one of those songs where it's like the same rhythms, the same voicings, the same kind of. It sounds everything. Like an 80s hair metal song, and they even going downtown. It's like, yeah, this totally could be like an MTV banger. It was a little early though. It was 1983, so I wonder if that's kind of one of the problems too.
They were too soon.
We'll talk about it on the next record too, but I do feel like a lot of this stuff, it could have been almost more popular later, or if they had kind of dove into certain parts of their sound more.
If they had picked like any one of their sounds.
Yeah, it would have been
to dive into.
Yeah, just to give like a couple of the same kind of singles that are like sort of reminiscent, but especially because you have like Russian Roulette. Just even look at the music videos they have, right? Russian Roulette, Dance With Me, Open Your Eyes, Method of Madness. They're all like all over the place.
Completely different, yeah.
And I know that variety is the spice of life, right? But you got to remember, this is the 80s when, when you couldn't just make a music video and post it to the internet and then everyone would be into it. Like, that's cool that we have this amount of variety now.
Yeah.
But back then, like somebody picking up the thing and going, oh yeah, I want to listen to Open Your Eyes, right? And then you get a whole album of like classic rock. Different.
Yeah.
And then this one, you're like, oh, I'm gonna listen to Dance With Me. And you get this whole big band and classic rock, glam metal, and that's great now. But I think if they had at least done a couple more in line with maybe
harder to build the consistent fan base.
Exactly. So maybe that was part of it. I don't know. But listening to it now, it's cool that there's variety, but it's very noticeable when you listen to all these albums in a row and really sit down. You're like, there's so much stuff here.
Well, it sounds like you just put it all on shuffle.
Yeah.
When you listen to it in order.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. Oh, this is what album is this from?
Yeah.
Oh, the same one.
This is the next track.
This is the next one.
Yeah.
Tale of Two Cities. Great book. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. This song, it was energetic punk times, and it was gang vocals time.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I see what you did.
Thank you so much.
You did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And not surprisingly, this reminds me a lot of The Damned. So, really reminded me of The Damned. This one's called World Without End. It's the longest song. It's almost 5.5 minutes long.
So the name.
And World Without End. Oh, because it doesn't end. It's really repetitive. Was my biggest problem with it. I was kind of like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But it is epic. I mean, and as far as their music, this is like their version of an epic.
It's like their 20-minute prog epic.
Yeah, exactly. Partners in Crime, punk, super. I mean, again, we're getting like, see the variety of what I'm talking about. Like this, it's all over the place. Live for Today. Oh, this is the one. Wait, is it? Yes. Okay, this is the one I was talking about. This is
here for sure.
This is a cover.
For everyone at home, this is the one that's
this
the cover.
This is the cover.
We found the cover.
This is the cover.
Ignore what he was saying earlier.
Yes. Okay.
Now we're covering it.
You know what? Forget all those other times I said, I think this is the cover. Apparently, I wrote it in my notes. Live for Today, right? Well, first of all, this song is awesome. It's probably one of my favorites on the record.
It's good, yeah.
Man, so good. Big synth, big chorus, mid-tempo. It's just everything. It's just right. Like it's one of those things where they just got it right. But this song was first recorded with Italian lyrics, right?
Okay.
Under the title Piangi con me by the English band The Rokes in 1966.
That's a deep cut cover.
Yeah. But the song was popularized by American rock band The Grassroots, who released it as a single in 1967, May 13th of 1967.
Okay, that's important.
Just in case you were wondering about the day and the month. So this is, I think it's a Grassroots cover. Is really what this is supposed to be. So,
okay.
So, yeah.
Still pretty deep cut.
It is a deep cut, yeah. But yeah, this record is, I think it's better than the first. Well, for me, I like this one actually. Of all the ones we're talking about, this is actually the one I like the most.
Okay.
Because yes, there is a ton of variety. In the same way that the other one had it, where there's a lot of different stuff going on, but there's a ton of stuff I really like because I like glam metal. I actually like let's party, like Slaughter and all that kind of stuff. There's something to be fun about it.
Yeah,
and I like a lot of that kind of stuff, and the synth and all of it. I think the production is better overall.
Yeah, for sure from the first one.
So when I listen to it, actually, that variety doesn't seem quite necessarily as obvious as the first one to me. Okay. It seems like, okay, they kind of went with a little more bombastic sound, but there's still those moments where you're like, what the heck was I?
How did we get?
Yeah. So that, again, is kind of one of their issues. They need like a defining tone to it. I dig it. I mean, I really like this one a lot. Compared to this, and again, it may just be Dance With Me. That's a big. It's such a good song. Like it's such a good one that I have trouble just saying. But I like this one, and
it's a good one.
But the band again, it's 1983, so you are starting to see, as far as goth bands, you've already had a couple Susie and the Banshees records. You have The Cure coming out with already. The Gothic trilogy is already out by this time, and then I think they started moving like the Love Cats and stuff by this point. So
maybe
it's, maybe they could have gone more a little in that direction, but it seems like they were going more like, I don't know, it's hard to say, like rock and roll big band type of, I don't know. It seemed like there's just too much coming at them.
They're just writing songs they like.
Well, hey, I can't fault them for that. So that is Nothing Sacred. Do you have a way in which you like to be insane? Would you say that there's a method to your madness?
No. I just make it up as I go along. But tell me the name of the album.
Well, I got news for you. It's method to our madness.
The Method.
The Method. Oh,
To our madness.
To our madness. This one's 1984. So again, another year later, another new record. This one is actually kind of weird for the international releases again, because I have this one. I own this on vinyl. And I was weirded out when I saw it because it says The Lords. But the actual label and all stuff says Lords of the New Church.
Okay.
So I was super confused by that. I still am confused by that. I couldn't find a reason as to why it would say that. Because if it was the religious angle of it, right? They're still called the Lords.
Well, you could be a nobleman.
Okay, all right.
A lord. You could be a member of the parliament.
Okay. But yeah, so the record actually says it, Lords of the New Church. So it's like they did it last minute or something.
Or they thought they were planning on changing their name and didn't, or something.
Yeah. Well, the Mission. Well, the Mission is a great example of that, where the Mission is called the Mission in the UK, and then over here it's called the Mission UK. Like the record actually says the Mission UK.
Is there a Mission USA?
I'm assuming. I've never seen the other one, but we have the main basic lineup of the same people, and then we have a ton of different keyboards and lead vocals. We have a bunch of female vocals on here too, but for the keyboards we have Chris Sagandis, I think, maybe Matt Irving, I think he was on last one as well, and then Mike Hugg. Piano you have Jacques Lussier, piano, right? Okay. But this is the one that isn't produced by the band, which is kind of crazy. Vocals, the female vocals is Helen Chappelle, Paola Pironi, and Samantha Brown. Okay, I got that one. Tanya Landau, Trisha Romaine, and Vicky Brown. So
it's a lot.
There's a lot of different players. This one, a lot like the last record, kind of tries to bump up the production more. I almost feel like they were trying to get a little more hits in this one, but the songwriting is, I think, in some ways a little weaker than actually the previous record.
The other ones, they kind of hit on a couple songs like really hard.
Yeah. And this one
never really came together as well.
That's what I would say. I mean, it's not a bad. None of these records are bad. That's why I really want. I feel like we're criticizing music. I mean, if you grew up with it, you're gonna like it no matter what I say, right? So you're gonna say, I can't believe this guy didn't listen to this song. Well, I was cruising around in my '82 Firebird, and this was my. Okay, look, I'm never gonna convince you to criticize it because guess what? That memory is baked into your brain, and you'll always have that. But as far as just actually critically going over these records in a retrospective way. Anyway, method to my madness. This is called Method to My Madness. I guess it says this. It says big chorus. big chorus, right? Definitely seems influenced by the glam metal thing. I cannot unhear the glam metal thing, and it feels like a lot of the songs on here were actually influenced more by American music than anything.
That's true. Yeah, I can see that.
And even the music video had almost like a glam metal thing where he's riding around on the car going, it's method to a... It's like big, and it's the biggest music video they had, at least as far as like seemingly the production of it.
Yeah, and the feel of it.
Yeah, because Dance With Me, it is like artsy fartsy, but this one feels like we got out here and we got the lights and all the stuff, like a Sabbath.
We got a crew.
Video.
We got the car.
Yeah, exactly. So good song. I mean, it's a good song. It's a single for a reason. Opens up the record. Just like the last single, actually. But
put the strong stuff up front.
Yeah, I would say that's smart. I Never Believed. That's sad. Oh, you actually hear acoustic guitar in this. I was like, there's acoustic guitar in this band? Like, there's actually acoustic guitar.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if you want a sad acoustic guitar song, that was anyway. Pretty Baby Scream.
Yeah.
Fresh. Oh my gosh, Fresh Flesh. Okay. This song is super weird. I tried to find out what I could about this song.
It seemed like sort of vampire-y.
So I was trying to figure out, was it like a zombie? Is it vampire? So, super punk song, right? It really reminds me of like almost kind of Misfit. Well, it's hard because it's a horror song about, like, that's kind of punk sounding. But it's about a zombie or vampire going around and eating people and babies. The Fresh Flesh part with the women singing it. It's like fresh, like the women sing fresh flesh, and then he's like, yeah, and then I'll go down to the, He also sounds a lot more like Dave Mustaine from Megadeth.
Yeah, okay.
And then if you listen further on, there's like sound effects of them like eating flesh. So you have this punk sounding song about like horror where he sounds like Dave Mustaine from Megadeth and like women singing fresh flesh. I was like, what is this song? Like, they haven't done anything like this prior to this. And
Is that a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I was like, it's actually pretty sick. By the way, that's the one I recommend. If you want to listen to one out of anything, listen to Fresh Flesh. Had like no views on YouTube either.
Weird.
When Blood Runs Cold. Sounds almost like a prom song, like a Spandau Ballet. Ooh, 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 too true. But again, it's harkening back to like the 50s style of like pop music that they were kind of doing. But it's right after Fresh Flesh.
Yes.
Okay, I want to.
Very connected.
Yeah, and then at the end they have like a piano, guitar thing, but I swear that one of them is like out of tune. Like, or they're not playing in the right key, like at all. Like, one thing to have like discordant.
Yeah.
It's like not that. I swear that it's just like off. It's super weird. It's super weird.
It's jazz.
Yeah.
It's microtonal.
Oh, is it? Yeah. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah, Tool. I got this Tool symbol right here. Yeah. Don't you see? Right here.
Yeah, it's modulated.
Oh, there we go.
It's up a quarter tone.
Ah, yes. It's reflective of society.
Being up a quarter tone.
Yes. Murder Style. Awesome chorus with the synth. Anytime they do synth, I love.
You just like the synth.
I do. I love the synth.
You're just a synth guy.
Which is so funny because I would say that I probably hated the synth a couple years ago. Except for when I did the Depeche Mode episode. I was one of those people who was like, man, it's not even really an instrument. Like, for a while, I was like...
We're doing some spoilers for the new Dr. Sanders.
I know, yeah. Then now I'm kind of like, yeah, hey, why don't we just throw a little synth in there, before...
Fourth member incoming?
No. Absolutely not. No, can't do 4 members. 3 members is already...
It's already 2 people too many.
Yeah, it's already 2 people too many. Having 4 members in a band. How are you supposed to get 4 adults to come to a band practice?
Well, see, if you have more people in the band, you don't need everyone there every time.
That's not true.
Yeah, because if you have like 6 horns, you don't need 6 horns every time. You need a couple horns.
See, 6 horns?
Yeah.
6 horn players? Oh my gosh. We should get on that. But yeah, I love it. Murder Style is a super awesome song. I like the anytime there's the female stuff too. Like, it really adds to it. I think actually Stiv works better with some of that because he can be such a grimy kind of punk rock singer that when you kind of add in all this other stuff, it kind of is cooler.
That's a classic juxtaposition.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like a little bit of an untrained type of thing with this very classical type of singer.
Yeah, like big, like aggressive male, punky stuff.
Yeah. The Seducer.
What do you think that's about? What was your opinion on the lyrics of that song?
Oh, isn't it like the guy who like kills them or something? Isn't it like he seduces women and kills them? And there's like sound effects too in it. A lot of sound effects in this record. I don't know. It's weird because that's the kind of stuff that's weird. Because if you think,
and that's kind of gothy.
It is. I mean, yeah.
Like
weird,
weird,
but look at
like,
Subway Song by The Cure.
Like a horror song with kind of campy sound effects.
Yeah, that was. I mean, the Cure is a perfect example of that with the Subway Song, where it's like at the end, it was like, well, it's from the perspective of the killer. On the first record, it was like, I'm walking, and then like behind you, and at the end it goes. Wah! So there's quite a few goth songs that are well known that have that kind of thing of like the perspective of the killer or whatever. Kiss of Death. Don't even remember the song. It just sounds like another one. It sounds like a generic. I don't know. I swear, some of them just kind of had that classic rock and roll sound, and I was like, okay, I don't know how else to describe it again. It has like,
welcome back to rock. 96.2.
Well, okay, it's not that bad. It's not that generic, but there's a method to a man. Yeah. We have 98.5. The Kiss of Death. Imagine Dragons. Do What Thou Wilt. It's got a cool. Okay, we actually have a cool drum intro for once. I haven't. Okay, like I said, the rhythm and the bass. I feel like the bass is actually more outstanding in this band than pretty much anything.
Yeah.
But the drums, I gotta give credit. Okay, look, may not be the most technical drummer, maybe a little more like meat and potatoes type drums, but
He's holding it down.
he holds it down.
Yeah.
And I think even live he does some backup vocals too, which is pretty cool. Piano throughout most song. It's a actually somewhat intricate solo to some extent, which is more than some of the other ones. And then you have My Kingdom Come. What is this? It's like an epic fantasy sounding intro. Out of nowhere. It just seems like literally that doesn't match at all.
Yeah.
But then you have like a regular song for them attached. But the first part is like could be like the Tim Curry in Legend.
Yeah.
With Tom Cruise and stuff. Like could be like that. Like I don't know.
It's just a Genesis song.
See, it's just I thought like singing Sega Genesis.
No, like
Phil Collins Genesis.
Yeah, like early Genesis.
Yeah.
When they were still a prog band.
Cool. Before
next
the
time on
next time Genesis. Well, that's pretty much method to our method. Wait, which one is it?
The method to our madness.
The method to our madness.
Yes, not method to my madness.
Yeah.
Which is the song.
Yes.
The method to our madness.
Yes, the method to our madness
is the record.
Yes. Okay. So that's. I mean, I really see. Is Nothing Sacred, and this one really very similar strengths and issues, and you really see the production get better across it. But I think they hit the sweet spot with Is Nothing Sacred. I really do.
So you're saying this is the one that should have been Lord of the New Church.
Is Nothing Sacred should have been Lord of the New Church. Yeah,
this is when they hit their stride.
I do like a lot of the songs. The thing is, if you do like a greatest hits, which they did have a greatest hits, but
all their records sounds like they did a great, like that's a greatest hits. Like,
it does, yeah.
Don't really connect.
Yeah, where it just kind of sounds like a sporadic arrangement of songs
by the same people.
Yeah, but this, I do like this band. I feel like people probably, well, I guess every time I do one of these episodes, people think I'm harsh, but that's because I'm just really criticizing them. I'm trying to talk about my opinion on them, but I do think that there's a lot to be loved. Just kind of pick and choose. I mean, if you really want the ones, obviously I talk about which ones I love.
They're pretty much a genre. If you like any of those, like 6 genres they do stuff in.
Yeah.
There's a couple songs for you.
Yeah, the vocals really tie it together because Stiv has such a unique way in which he sings. He's not necessarily a great singer. I mean, there's a lot of reaching and kind of...
In a sense... But in another sense, he's a great singer.
Yeah, because he's able to emote and he's able to have energy and able to put himself into it. But as far as staying in tune and in key and all, it's just not going to happen with this. It's just not. It just isn't. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, because of the type of singer that he is and the attitude that he had really got him a lot further than some of the other stuff. We do have some other releases. We're not really going to go into detail on any of these, but I mentioned Killer Lords was a compilation album, bundled of singles again. But you can't stream it. So, and don't come at me with the, somebody has it on YouTube. Just wait a couple months. It probably won't be there. Or, if it is, it's not going to be...
It's going to be super low quality.
Yeah, so anyway, but you can probably find them on YouTube. But actually, there were some songs I could not find on YouTube, which is kind of crazy for some of these. We're going to come to that release. By early 86, there's a whole bunch of people being replaced in this band. So, actually, it's just crazy. The bassist, Triguna, got replaced. They got a second guitarist. That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. And I've seen some videos of that too, where they got the second guitarist. They did contribute some songs to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 soundtrack, which is that's the comedy one, which is it's like comedy soundtrack. Yeah. Or no, it's a comedy. It's like a horror comedy movie.
Yeah.
But they did Good to Be Bad and Mind Warp. I like Mind Warp actually better. The songs weren't written with the song in mind, but they were rewritten to have more in line with the movie. Yeah.
Interesting.
But apparently they read the script and they did it. It was some kind of weird thing. But in 1987, let's see, they re-recorded Dance With Me and did another single of it.
It worked the first time.
Yeah. So they did the
Psycho Sex EP in 1987. Which I didn't really listen to too much of that, but they also had like a single called Real Bad Time to be released from that. There's all these weird like compilations and EPs and stuff. Because really the band, that was, I mean, what we're talking about is basically the last album.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like the Method to Our Madness, right, is the last album that they did with Stiv. And then all this stuff was kind of like a single here, an EP here. And not saying that they aren't bad. In fact, probably one of the funniest ones, or the most infamous ones, is they cover Madonna's Like a Virgin.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I mean, it is like a virgin. Like just the way he sings it is like insane. So you should listen to that. That is weird, but it's cool. Like they kept touring till like 88. Man, last album was 84. But 88, they did like, they had like a live album, and then they would basically just have a ton of live albums be released.
Yeah, like constantly.
Yeah, like, and this is like when the band, because normally whenever a band stops existing, then you get all the live releases. Like Jimi Hendrix has like 10,000 live records or whatever, anything they could possibly release. But Lords of the New Church actually had a lot of live releases when they were still together. They actually broke up in May of 1989, right? And this is a super famous story of Stiv. They were going to do the shows like to try and pay off a tax bill, which is common. That's common for like, you hear a lot of Sabbath do that all the time, which isn't surprising. But they were going to pay off a tax bill, and so they asked if he would do it, and he said no. So then they like put an ad in the paper for a singer, and then Stiv was like, "Oh, I'll do it," and so like, "Oh, well, just don't tell him," like kind of thing. They were like, "Oh, that's fine." So he shows up to the show with, and there's a photo of it, him wearing a white shirt, and he wrote the ad on his shirt and said like, "I quit, band's over." So that was the last show that they did with him. It's so crazy. But he died. Unfortunately, Stiv did die in 1990. He had like a little scooter, I think, motorcycle thing, and he was hit by a car in Paris. And so it was a super, super horrible thing, of course. And Stiv was known for being kind of crazy, a little bit depressed. You know, it's hard to say. I mean, I watched that documentary on him. He was known to be a little bit depressed, maybe a little emotional, but he actually had like a thing where he would wrap the microphone cord around his neck and do like a noose, like hanging. Apparently, there's a urban legend that he actually died from that one time and had to be resuscitated. There's a whole bunch of stuff like that. So, but Stiv Bators, yeah, he did die in 1990. Now, Lords of the New Church basically ceased to exist, right? And well, wait a second. There's another album.
Yeah. What's with that, Donnie?
The band basically ceased to exist, right? So Brian James went on to do the Brian James Project or whatever that's called. Brian James, something like that. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that they, like, a lot of the bands went to go do, right? And basically they formed a different version of Lords of the New Church, and it still did involve some original members, right?
Yeah, a couple.
And you would think that this would be cool, right? Because you saw Dave Traguna actually came back, right? So bass, right? That's cool, right? And Brian James, right?
It's two.
So anyway, and then we have a whole bunch of new people. So drums, Steve Murray. You have backing vocals, Colin J. Leonard. You have keyboard, Don Thompson. Saxophone, Rufus George. Vocals, okay, this is the one. I think this is Steve Skid Mark, Marque. And they also have vocals and guitar, Adam Beckvara. Okay. This record is super weird. It's nowhere. It's like a couple songs are on YouTube and stuff in very poor quality. The album is called Hang On, right? So this is 2003.
Yeah.
This was released without record company promotion. Again, this is in time before you could really stream music at all, right? It's 2003. You gotta remember, this is like iPod territory where you would still buy CDs from
a Zune.
Yeah, yeah, where you'd buy stuff from Best Buy. But this was released with no record company support, and so it was sold at the band's shows in 2003, 2004. And but that's how you would get it. That's it. Is the band shows. You had to go see the new Lords of the New Church.
Is that what they were called?
The new, yeah, right. And this record is, wow. It's
great, right?
Sucks. No, there's some good stuff. Okay, there's some good stuff here and there, but man, it's whiplash for sure. Where it's like
even more than the old ones.
Yeah, this record's like insane. I tried with some of it, but it just is weird. The intro song is probably the greatest example of that craziness. Heaven Step Down. It's got a cool intro, right? The instrumental sounds great, but man, everything else is super questionable. The vocals are just weird.
Yeah.
It literally sounds like he's singing. It's like two different songs.
Yeah, they just took a vocal track from something else.
Yeah, and then put it on this. So I don't know what. It's just bad. I just bad. Heaven Step Down. It's what is happening in the song? I don't know. It seems like there was a good song written in there somewhere.
Just not a good performance.
Yeah, or maybe it's just the way it's mixed or produced, because if they didn't have a record company, then maybe they didn't understand some of the things about it. The thing is, there's two singers on this record. One sounds exactly like Stiv Bators. Like literally you could be like, yeah, that is Stiv Bators. The other one sounds like an early 2000s butt rock singer. Like I don't know what I don't know, wow. But just after that song, so I haven't stepped down, man. Just go listen to it. It's bad. It's bad.
Well, it's hard to listen to.
Well, go listen to it.
Find it.
Yeah, exactly. Hallucinations, Hang On, the second song. It's better. Almost like very Danzig-y.
Yeah, okay.
I've noticed a lot of that on this. It's a more bluesy.
Yeah.
So it seems like Brian and James want to do more of the bluesy stuff, which is, it's cool. I guess that's why like. Again, you also have songs where it has like two different types. Both the vocals on the same one.
Yeah.
So you have like a guy who sounds like Stiv, and you're like, yeah, okay, right, and then just like
some other guy.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, what is happening on the other one? Yeah. Anyway, Where Are You Now?
Could be
more old school.
It's like an old school Lords of the New Church.
But I could not figure out which singer was which. I really think that, let's see, Steven Skid Marquis, I think he's the one that sounds really weird.
Okay.
So
why do you think that?
I was trying to find to see what the guys had done.
Yeah.
I found his new music, and his voice sounds way more similar to that than Adam Bekvara. So of those, I think he is the other one. I don't know. It's hard to say. It was really, it was super weird. I'm just gonna pick some songs because man, it's all just terrible.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, this stuff is so. Just even looking at these songs makes me. Baby Babylon. I don't know what's going on with the intro. It's just weird, and all the vocals. The vocals again, it's like.
Yeah.
Because when they trade off the vocals, the chorus can be amazing. Again, this song, the chorus is great. And the verse is just weird. I don't understand it. I'm so confused by this record. What would they think? And the fact that I even was able to find this record was even a whole thing. I don't want to get into all that, but I have it. So I was able to experience it. So Save Yourself, kind of cool. It's got Muzak keyboard. Oh, actually, it was pretty cool on that. It's like I like it when bands do that kind of like off kilter. Like The Cure did that with the. They have like this weird, like almost calypso type song. I was like, that's pretty cool. Anyway, and appropriate vocals. See, that's what I'm talking about here. It's appropriate for the song, right? Whole bunch of garbage. Devil You Know, they got a ska song.
Yeah.
Again,
classic.
we're talking about ska. Remember, we talked about
Lords of the New Church ska song.
Yeah, but we're talking about. We say, hey, they got a ska song. It's again, it's pretty weird, but this is actually like ska.
Yeah.
Like that one was like more like 80s
Like
ska, reggae.
ska.
This one's like more like ska.
Like a ska band.
Yeah, it's more so. I hate this album. I don't ever want to listen to it again. There's like a couple good songs, you know, but man, what's happening with this record? This is like so weird. And the biggest question I have about it, that's all I'm gonna talk about songs. The biggest question I have about it is I don't know like what they were thinking. Like we're thinking, man, this is like a really radically different voice, so we want to have it for the new era
Of the new lords of the new church.
Yeah, but then to have the other singer who sounds so much
like a Stiv impersonator.
It literally sounds like exactly like Stiv on some songs to come in, and it's just
it is a weird decision.
I don't know. I am so confused by this. Like, because there's some okay songs in there. Like the ones I mentioned, that's pretty much what you need to listen to. But the other stuff, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like,
believe it on those songs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The vocals were like the weirdest part.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing is it's those the good songs are like, hey, compared to.
Yes.
Right? I don't really think that most of this material stands up to any of the classic stuff. Like, because much as we criticize the old stuff as being like all over the place, like there's none of the things where it said this song sucks.
Yeah, it's just weird that it's next to this other song.
Yeah, it's just that the variety is so insane, like per record that yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, this thing you can't stream this thing anywhere. You can stream the songs I think separately on YouTube if you look at them all or something. But as far as a record, this is just weird. And maybe the fact that it hasn't been like nobody's clamoring to be like, where's the re-release of "Hang On" by Lords of the New Church?
We could start a movement.
Yes. Hashtag.
Tweet at Brian James.
Hashtag. Lords of the New Church. Hang on.
The new hashtag. Hang on. The new Lords of the New Church.
Yes.
Come back.
New old
re-release.
records. Yes. 20 years.
Yeah.
The 20-year anniversary.
20-year
anniversary.
I'm seeing potential there.
Oh, speaking of anniversaries for this. So, by the way, so that lineup actually fell apart eventually. Oh, here we go. There was actually a gig. So they have done a couple different things over time, but the most recent one, as of recording this, is in 2023 for the Viva La Rock Awards. Michael Monroe from Hanoi Rocks fronted the band. And, I mean, the performance, some people had some harsh things to say about the performance itself.
Okay.
But that's kind of a weird crossover. Hanoi Rocks and Lords of the New Church. That's kind of a strange
What songs
one.
do they play?
New Church. I think they did Open Your Eyes. They did look kind of like the
classics.
most of the first record. So, but yeah, that's a super weird one. But here's what I want to break down some. Here's where we get real analytical. Man, these chairs are super uncomfortable. Man.
Scoot in and get low.
So here's what I'm gonna go. Super music critic. And that is so the strangest thing to me about Lords of the New Church is, I was talking about it earlier, is that Brian James left the Damned in 1977 to go pursue, he's like, I feel like I've done everything I can do with the Damned.
Yeah.
And so the Damned then went on to release some of the most amazing albums ever. Strawberries, oh man, that record is amazing. It is so good. It is ridiculous. But in 1986, 80, somewhere in there, they did Phantasmagoria, or maybe it was even later, maybe like 87. I can't remember right now. That album's amazing. So, just so we're all aware, Phantasmagoria is awesome. That is one of the, like, just everything about it is that perfect blend of campiness to actual serious love songs where the groove, the vocal, everything about it is awesome. So, I think it's hilarious that Brian James left the Damned to go explore and eventually end up doing goth music or trying to be ride that wave a little bit. And then the Damned comes in later without him, so when he's not in the band anymore, and not even Captain Sensible's in the band at that time, and demolish it with Phantasmagoria and make like just a record that totally stands the test of time and is just awesome. And the band was super tight live too. I love that era of the band. But that just cracks me up that they went like not in the same band anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever, and they both arrive
Sort
at
of in
that
the same area.
Yeah, like but that was a seriously hilarious thing in retrospect.
He's probably not laughing that much about
he probably wasn't very happy about it. I would say he probably was not very happy about it. But yeah, that's kind of one of my notes about that. But it's, you know, in the end, it's a very tragic thing with Stiv dying and this kind of being the last sort of thing that he was involved in, and what could have been, what he could have done next. And I think kind of what, you know, we have our theories about they just need a little more direction.
Yeah.
Like a little more funneling into a thing. And that's, again, it's like stuff and creativity, man, and, you know, whatever, all that stuff. But I really do think that they would have benefited pretty greatly from someone just coming in and saying, okay, well, hey, look, that we gotta not do this kind of song. We need to really
let's cut the sax solo song.
Yeah, let's kind of put this direction. And again, Stiv documentary talked about, well, I didn't know if we should really latch onto the goth thing. And coming from the top of this podcast, do I consider them a goth band? Saying you always see them on the list of they'll definitely be somewhere on there.
Yeah.
Right.
11.
Yeah. Exactly. But I would say yes and no. I mean, they're
definitely in the zone, I think.
Well, especially like I said, if you take the greatest hits of it, yeah.
To me, it seems like the gothiness is like the one thing that connects everything. It's like Stiv's voice and sort of like the gothy parts, like the guitar tones most of the time.
Yeah.
Are like kind of gothy. That's like one of the only sonic through lines.
Yeah,
like
and actually the if you want to say death rock, like the death rock tones of the stuff, I think are a huge part of it. I mean, so I would say, yeah, I'm gonna include them.
Yeah.
Yeah, stamp. I mean,
they're adjacent.
The internet was right in this case.
Congratulations.
But as far as overall discography and consistency, wildly inconsistent. But not a bad band. I mean, a band is pretty solid overall.
Yeah.
But not really going anymore. The people have gone off to do other stuff. I think they could have kept going easily. I think but I get it why they didn't. So what a weird everything with this band.
What a weird.
But this has been GothCast. Let's see, your 2024 video
edition.
GothCast
Video. Now it's in video.
In color.
Not very many colors.
So if this all worked out, then you're watching this
with your eyeballs.
It was really rough. I should do this in video, but we'll figure it out. We're figuring it out. We got it down. So sorry if there's any audio blunders or stuff in here, but we're gonna try and get you. We already have a couple episodes I have in mind already. So I'm going in 2024 with this being. I'm reviving it. I know I've said it so many times.
It's alive.
I've said that so many times. But you know what? I'm trying, people. I'm trying so hard to do it. I know people want more. I want to do more. I want to talk about more music for you people. But it's been a challenge at times. So
it's a journey.
So thank you for watching. Oh, you can look up our band, Dr.Sanders, on Spotify. Actually have some band merch and stuff too. We got some new music that's coming up. Okay, guys, I'm trying to. It's coming. But so stay tuned for all that. We're gonna get it going here for you. I am Dr. Sanders, which is more confusing.
And I'm not Dr. Sanders.
Noah. So join us next time when we talk about another band. I guess insert band here.
Yeah.
When we talk about goth music. Yeah. So okay. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.